Hello, this is Mike McCammon. I'm with the NFC Forum. I'm not sure if we've had a lot of new people join in the last few minutes, but we do want to go ahead and get started with our final hour of our virtual open forum. A couple quick housekeeping items is that when you logged into the webinar, you would have seen a control panel. You are defaulted by mute, by the way. If you'd like to ask a question, please use the questions pane for comments. If you'd like to ask questions, you can do that either privately or to the entire community of people that are on the call today. Let's see here. You do have the audio pane will allow you to pick how you want to hear from a speaker point of view, whatever I should say what speaker microphone will be used. We will have a poll at the end of at the end of this thing, at the end of the event, and we would love for you to go through that. And there'll also be a survey as well. Any feedback you provide us will help us enhance. In fact, by the way, one of the reasons why we're having the open forum today is from feedback that we received at our last NFC Forum members meeting. Next slide, please. So we've had a very, very full day, but like most major movies, we always save the best for last. We talked earlier today about how what NFC is and how it's being used in the market. We talked briefly about some of the new capabilities of the technology with wireless charging. And then we had a really nice overview of kind of how user adoption is going for the technology, and in particular as it relates to contactless payment and mobile wallet usage. The session we just finished up was talking about packaging. This has been a use case that's been often talked about, and actually it's becoming quite a reality. And it was a really interesting talk about how that's coming to life and the players that are in that marketplace and in the NFC Forum that are helping make that happen. And finally, today, it's my pleasure to go through and introduce the next topic. Next slide. Which is the NFC Innovation Awards. Every other year, the NFC Forum does host a set of awards for innovative products in the marketplace. And I'll go over kind of what that looks like. Let me go to the next slide real quick. I've already introduced myself. My name is Mike McCammon. And no, I'm not wearing the same shirt that was in that slide, but it's pretty close. The NFC Forum, if you've joined us since our beginning, Tagawa-san made a quick overview of the forum. The NFC Forum is a nonprofit trade association. It was founded over 15 years ago, and our mission is to basically advance the use of near-field technology, near-field communication technology, by developing specifications, interoperability, and certification programs, as well as educating the market about the technology, which is what we're doing here today. The NFC Forum has right around 120 members globally. The logos you see on this slide are the 10 sponsor members of the organization. They are the organizations that do sit on our board. If there's organizations that are interested in that level of participation, we're always welcome to have those conversations. The forum does have 4 different levels of membership, and all of them are very affordable considering the level of influence and access that those memberships provide. And I'd always encourage you to find out more if you're looking to become involved. I think it's safe to say it's very difficult to be an adopter of the technology and an implementer of the technology without being involved. And of course, the higher level of your membership, the greater influence you have over the future of the technology, and also the access to new information long before other players in your markets have that access to that information when it does become public. So I'd encourage everyone to become a member if they are interested. Next slide, please. As I've mentioned, the Innovation Awards is a program that we run every other year. It would not be possible without sponsorships from NXP and Indentiv. I want to thank both of them for their ongoing support of this program. I know both of them have been very involved in the NFC community for quite some time, and I want to thank both of them. I know individuals at both organizations. Thank you very much. There are 5 different categories that that we did awards for. There's a Best NFC app, and what we'll do is this press session, we're going to go through and introduce each of those winners. And then what we will do is give them an opportunity to talk about their products and provide some demonstrations if they'd like. Let's go to the next slide. Another part of making the Innovation Awards possible is our judges. We have 2 slides. I will not take the time to read, but of course, we have members of the press and members of the greater community and analysts and also companies that basically helped judge the products that were submitted as part of the awards. This is one of the slides of those individuals. Next slide, please. And here's the second set of our judges. So I do want to thank all of them for their time and helping make this possible. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go to the next slide and we'll go talk about the winners. So while there were 5 categories, next slide, there actually were only 4 companies that won. The 2 categories on the best mobile application for Android and iOS happen to be the same product, the company WAKDEV. And so the companies that did win the different awards is WAKDEV and Transact, IoTize, and then OneTrueID. Let's go to the next slide, please. So as I've mentioned, the winner for the best NFC application on iOS and Android, which by the way, I have on my phone, is WAKDEV, and it's called NFC Tools for, well, it's just called NFC Tools, and it's on for both those platforms. It's available obviously through the iTunes store if you'd like to download and play with it. It's quite fun. You can read and write tags, but what I'm going to do is turn it over to WAKDEV and let them give a quick overview of their product. So, hey, Julian, how are you? Good afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. I'm Julian, CEO of WAKDEV and creator of the apps called NFC Tools. So, first of all, and because I was not present at the ceremony, I would like to thank the NFC Forum. It's such a great honor to be awarded in 2 different categories. So for this presentation, and to give you a quick look at the apps, I didn't prepare any slides, but I did make a quick video. So Patricia, can you check if it's possible to play this video? I can send you a YouTube video.
We have the videos ready to go, so let me pop that up.
Perfect.
Thanks, Patty. I'll let you transition back to the slides. I did not know that software did that, so that's one thing I'm going to be doing after we get done today is play around with that. Very cool. All right, well, let's go on to the next slide, please. So the winner for the best in-market NFC implementation is Transact. Transact Mobile is a credentialing system, and they've one of their first solutions is in a mobile student ID. This technology has been deployed across Apple Wallet and Google Pay. Very exciting, and I'm here. I'm glad to see that Dan's with us this morning and this afternoon, and I'll turn over to Dan to talk a little bit about Transact.
Great. Yep. Thanks, Mike. You can go ahead to maybe just skip one more slide. Really appreciate the opportunity. I guess this is our speed dating round. We have just a few minutes to get everyone up to speed on Transact. I wanted to just kind of start with folks that may be unfamiliar. So Transact Campus Inc. is our company name. We're headquartered in Phoenix, Arizona, here in the U.S. Until about a year and a half ago, we were part of Blackboard. So we spun out of Blackboard 18 months ago. So we're completely independent company, focused really on the higher education, primarily on the higher education market with payments and access control related solutions. So we have about 1,300 customers that we work with, and about 12 million plus students across that customer portfolio, and we're delivering our solutions both with our native transaction processing and issuance capability, in conjunction with a pretty robust partner ecosystem. You can see there on the right, 230 plus partners that we work with today. And ultimately, as you'll see on the next slide, I mean, just to kind of distill it down, we are, what we're enabling is a, you can go ahead to the next slide. Or can I forward the slides? There we go. So ultimately the experience that we're enabling on a campus is, Transact is licensing technology to schools that enables the issuance of the campus ID, and historically, not unlike other verticals kind of around the world, historically that credential has been a physical ID card. Years ago, obviously magstripe, and we've been down the journey with NFC for the better part of the last 10 years. So we launched support for NFC in 2010, initially with a partnership with Sony to support their Felica technology within our campus environment, and just had great success with that. We later added in support for MyFair, and then later Desfire physical cards, and ultimately what we're enabling is schools that are issuing that credential that can be used everywhere on campus. And this, I would love this image that we use here, and I think it just really kind of paints the picture of the breadth of our solution. So whether it's a student gaining access to a building through an access control solution, or paying for a meal in the dining facility, or getting into a parking garage, or maybe even getting into an athletic event on the weekend, they're typically using that credential that has been issued through Transact through our technology to transact or to gain access to or to pay across all of those use cases. So it's really, I think what makes us unique in the campus space is our solution really does touch almost every aspect of campus life. So really the exciting evolution for us, and really the reason we're here today, as you'll see on the next slide, is we recently launched support for that credential that I issued through our technology. So it's a mobile, basically a mobile student ID. So we initially launched support for our credential in Apple Wallet, which you see there on the right-hand side. In Apple Wallet, we're actually supporting both the iPhone and the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch, as you can imagine, is a really kind of slick experience that students are really kind of appreciating on campus. And then earlier this year, we launched support for similar functionality in Google Pay. So again, ultimately what we're enabling is across all of those use cases you saw on the prior slide, and you see many of them listed on the right here. The mobile credential is really replacing the physical card on campuses. And I think a lot of what's driving that is, so one, I mean, some of the presentations I saw earlier today, I mean, obviously COVID is driving just contactless transactions more broadly, and we're seeing that on our campuses. And I'll share some statistics with you here shortly. But typically on a university campus, they're onboarding new students. There's this constant cycle of new students graduate and new students come in, and that new student onboarding process is typically done in person. So at our larger institutions, they'll use the summer months to physically bring those students to campus for like a freshman orientation. And that's really a time when they'd be issuing credentials to those students. And in kind of pre-COVID environment, that's easy to do when even if you're still issuing physical cards. And what we've really seen rapid adoption of our mobile credential related to COVID is this past summer, no school, at least here in the United States, had in-person orientation. So our early adopting schools like University of Alabama and Maryville University, Duke University, these are schools that went to almost kind of a completely kind of 100% mobile environment. So they didn't even issue cards to incoming students unless you really proved that maybe you didn't have a supported phone. And in our demographic, we're talking about 19 to 22-year-olds. The vast majority of them have and they're very they're interested and eager in adopting new technologies. So we saw really great adoption rates, and I'll touch on that here in a couple slides. We can move to the next slide, if you could. So I kind of touched on this. I mean, I think I mentioned earlier that we've been down the path with using NFC for the better part of the last 10 years. We launched again that initial solution in 2010, and I think what our solution really, and hopefully we'll have time maybe for a video at the end here, but the ultimately what we're delivering is really kind of the cross section of really kind of heightened security. So, and we've been selling this for 10 years and really kind of pushing schools to, get out of the mag stripe. I mean, we all know that that's a dated technology that can be easily replicated or copied, if you will. And so, our solution really combines the best of, the security aspects of NFC with the convenience. And what we've engineered working closely with both Apple and Google is a very simple tap and go experience. One of the things that's unique about the university environment, and certainly some of those large, I mentioned University of Alabama earlier, and they're one of many large institutions that we work with. High throughput is a really significant challenge for these schools. I mean, you think about like the dining facility on a campus where literally there are thousands and thousands of students coming through, and they're trying to get their meal and pay for it in the span of a very narrow window because they've got to hustle out to their next class. And so the very quick and efficient tap of a NFC-based transaction really enables that experience. And so schools really appreciate, and students even more so appreciate, just that very, there's no app to open, there's no authentication on the device, where if you're familiar with Apple's Express Mode as an example, we're really leveraging that. So it's the kind of same technology they're using in I believe in the transit space, where an iPhone with a locked phone with a dark screen could be presented to a reader within the confines of one of our campuses, and it's automatically authenticating within milliseconds and completing that transaction. So that is really ultimately, as we kind of gather feedback from our customers, that combined obviously with the security is really what's driving the adoption of our solution. So I'll close out with some stats here on the next slide. I mentioned earlier just the adoption rates that we've been seeing, and I think if you had asked me what our aspirational goals would be before we launched the solution, I'm not sure I would have predicted 90% adoption rates at any of our schools. And these are three examples, or three of our early adopters. In fact, when we initially went live, these are the first three schools that went live on day one. But these results are really reflective of what we're seeing across the board with our schools. And so at the University of Alabama, which I mentioned earlier, 92% of their resident population, so these are students that are physically living on campus, 92% of them have provisioned their mobile credential. And again, some of that's being driven by the fact that the school's really mandating it versus the physical ID card. But even more, I think gratifying for us and for our customers is not only are students provisioning it, the credential, but they're using it. So at Alabama, 85+% of those resident students are actively using the credential. So multiple times a day, they're using their phone to get into dining, pay for something in a dining facility, or get into their residence hall. And again, just for those unfamiliar with our space, and just to kind of underscore it, I think part of what's really kind of driving our success here is, one, the demographic that we serve. They're certainly not technology averse, but also because we're solving for every use case on campus. I mean, that mobile credential can literally be used everywhere on campus. In the campus environment, you think about the resident population. As a student, I might leave and re-enter my resident hall 4 or 5 times a day. I might have class in the morning, and then I come back, then I go get a meal, I come back, maybe later I go to the gym and I come back. And so just for door access alone at the residence hall, you're talking about maybe 5 touch points at the exterior of the building. Many of our institutions are using electronic locks at the individual door, so that's another 5, so like 10 touches per day, and that's just around door access, not even reflective of all of the payment aspects on campus. So it's not uncommon for some of these active users to be using their mobile credential 10, 15 times a day on our campuses. So really, we're really thrilled with the results that we're seeing. I think it just kind of speaks to the value that we're able to deliver to our university campuses. So Mike, I think that's my last slide. I wasn't keeping track of time. Hopefully that was a good, right. Again, kind of speed dating round. So that was really kind of transacted at a super high level.
All right. Well, it's very exciting and very exciting. And I do want to congratulate the entire team at Transact, not just Dan, but the entire team at Transact. And of course, also, and one of the things you point out, and I'll switch to the next pointer here, but you also point out how important it is to have partners to work with. So, having champions at the university campuses also helps kind of make these technologies get adopted. And by having a great technology helps it as well. So thanks again, Dan, for your time today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
All right, congratulations. The most innovative use of NFC was awarded to IoTize. And they have done some work in kind of control of, well, one example would be home and commercial heating and AC systems. And so I'll turn it over to Francis to kind of walk us through that. Congratulations, Francis.
Thank you, Mike. So, yeah, Steve will make the presentation, but I just introduce myself. I am president of IoTize, and since many years we work with NFC. So we manufacture different types of modules, Wi-Fi, BLE, LoRa, but there is always NFC. And for these applications, we develop a very simple module with only NFC. And so for these modules, for a long time, it was a bit difficult to convince the manufacturers to use only NFC technology. And since last year, because of the introduction of iOS 13, there is no more break for that. And we have seen that NFC only is a very good solution for many applications. And we could say that it's a very good replacement for both. Okay, so it's the right replacement when you have a LCD monitor and a small pad. It's really a better solution, thanks to the convenience of the mobile phone applications. And the main application we have seen in Europe, at least, but we hope that it is the radiators. In Europe, it is now mandatory to to make heating system programmable to save energy. And most of the radiators today are using a small keypad and a small LCD monitor, and it's very difficult. And there are more than 80% of users who do not program the radiator because it's too difficult, too hard. And with this solution, because a mobile app is something very easy to use, we change this with industrial partners. And yeah, we think now that for heating system, it's really the good solution, the right solution with a very good feature, but not only. Steve, if you could go on with the presentation, are you available?
Yep. There we go.
We don't hear you, Steve.
You can't hear me?
Yes, now it's okay.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
sounds
Sorry
good.
about that. So yeah, so as Francis mentioned, NFC has always been a part of our vision for connectivity because it's intuitive, it's secure, and the tap and link three-stroke configuration approach that we applied to, in this case, HVAC appliances, is an approach that was inspired by the experience of one of our partners, a company called Cotherm, who are a leading supplier of thermostatic controls for HVAC equipment, whether it's home residential equipment or industrial equipment as well. And it corresponds very specifically to a challenge that they encountered, which Francis had already mentioned, is this notion that that energy saving controls are required in Europe today. But unfortunately, only less than 20% of people actually use those controls. And if we go to the next slide, we have a little video to kind of illustrate what users actually see. Why are they not using these? I'm not sure if I can click. Can we start the little video there? I'm sorry, my sound just cut out. But we can see from that illustration the challenge that those LCDs and push buttons represent. A user tries to use those and they're relatively inaccessible. You have to hover around the appliance in order to use them. They're complicated to use, to navigate a multi-level menu without being able to actually see the full menu and using one or two or three or four buttons. And overall, the entire process is inefficient and inconvenient for the user. So it's not really surprising. Any of us who've gone through this process, we all are used to that. It's not very surprising that we often give up after the first time that we've tried and to configure these controls. Can we go to the next slide? So what we proposed with Cotherm was that we replace this kind of LCD type interface with a really simple mobile-based process. That's what we call NFC three-stroke configuration, where in a first gesture, we establish connection with the appliance that we're interested in and capture whatever settings that are already set. We modify those settings in a mobile app, which is much more familiar to most users today. And then with a second tap, we transfer the new settings to the appliance. So it's a simple three-step process. It's not just a tap and pay, but it's actually a read, modify, update. And if we go to the next slide, we can launch a little video. We can see what that process looks like compared to our LCD screen. Can you launch the video? So we can see through this demonstration that when a user connects with NFC, they connect and read the tag with one quick and simple gesture. It's very intuitive. I want to connect to this appliance. I approach my mobile phone to the appliance, and I'm connected to it, and instantaneously read the information that I'm interested in. From there, then the users can comfortably step back away from the appliance and modify that information however they want to. We can even imagine that they might, for example, save that information as a subsequent configuration on the mobile that they might call back again at a later time. So it's definitely much more comfortable, and these types of interfaces are more familiar to them, which gets rid of the need for that additional notice. People are used to navigating menus, and they're used to the controls that we find on our mobile phones. And then the last advantage the user will experience without really knowing it is that with NFC, this on-demand short-range proximity interface, we're much more secure than leaving an open interface, an open wireless interface on an appliance. You can imagine if every radiator out there in your home is constantly broadcasting an advertising signal, whether it's Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, that represents a certain risk for the user in terms of security. With NFC, we're on a technology that's intuitive and easy to use, and is also there when we need it, when we want to connect, and at close proximity. If we can go to the next slide. So this is how NFC transforms users' experience. Tap and Link NFC three-stroke configuration also transforms the integrator's experience by providing them this technology in a way that's easy to implement. They can rapidly upgrade their products because we take a plug-and-play approach to integrating NFC into appliances. They can easily create, modify, or evolve and deploy user interfaces as mobile apps, because there's a whole existing mechanism for delivering those apps to users. And overall, they can simplify the designs of their systems, eliminating those expensive LCD screens, expensive push buttons, and all the accessory components that are around all that, and going with a simple tag-based NFC interface, and using, of course, the user's smartphone. Can we go to the next slide? So Tap and Link has made this possible for companies, for manufacturers of appliances, by taking a plug-and-play approach to NFC integration. It's possible with Tap and Link to add a wireless module by simply connecting 3 signals or 2 signals and a power supply. The module itself implements by simple configuration. We're going to tell the module some information about the appliance, the data that it needs to access. We're going to configure it with access rights or access limitations. And we're going to configure some information about how data is displayed in the mobile app. So nothing more than indicating or checking off information that we need to configure. And based on that configuration, the radio will know where to seek information within the appliance. And we also auto-generate the mobile apps, whether they're iOS or Android mobile apps, so that the manufacturer automatically has an app that is ready to be installed on a mobile phone or deployed through a Play Store or App Store or one of the other mobile app distribution channels. Next slide. The overall impact of this is improving users' experience, but also for the manufacturer, reducing the expertise that is required of them in order to implement NFC. So they don't require, or this implementation doesn't require that they have experience with wireless development or wireless design or antenna design, security implementation, or even mobile app development. Overall, this reduces the complexity of their project and the size eventually, the complexity of their design team, and reduces the overall effort that's required of them in order to integrate NFC into their systems. So overall, next slide. Overall, our objective is to provide NFC technology as a way of improving user experiences with systems, but also to expand the range of applications that people are used to seeing NFC in. We're used to hearing about an NFC in terms of payment, in terms of marketing applications, access control, but we see NFC as a valuable interface technology for a wide range of other applications, including interfacing with other objects and systems in your home or in your professional world. So that's all, but Francis and I will be available if you have other questions about these implementations and possible uses.
All right. Well, thank you and congratulations to IoTies. A pretty exciting application of NFC technology. Thank you. Our final award for this year was for NFC's use for a greener and safer world. And I'd like to congratulate One True ID. Hey, Carlo. And I'll turn it over to them to talk about how they're using NFC to enable blockchain in the fashion industry. It's very exciting. I'll turn it over to you, Carlo. Good afternoon. We cannot hear you. I don't think your microphone is on. I can see you, but I don't hear you. Almost. No, still no. It is the COVID world we live in, so if we were in person, this would be easier. No, I cannot hear you still. You're on your headphones. Test, test. You can hear me, correct? Yeah, you can hear me. Okay. Yeah, I would go up to the audio and the control panel. It should allow you to select. There's a drop down there for what's.
Okay, got it now.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry to everyone, but in Italy we used to say that it's like how to say we produce shoes, but we have broken shoes. That's technology. So hello everybody again. I'm really excited on being here and being awarded for this project, because we really believe on the fact this is a very important project, because we are talking about sustain our environment of our world. So this is a topic regarding everybody of us. What we have done is trying to use our knowledge about technology to find a way to support the manufacturers and the users to keep it in contact, and thanks to giving to the end users the power on choosing the right product, sustaining the how to say our environment. In the fashion industry, it's really important how we produce and manufacture the clothes that every day we use. We use. So it's a long time topic, this one, but till today we think nobody solved the problem. So what we have done, thanks to PEACE project, and PEACE means is the acronym of Product Education Accountability System. That means having a platform that gives a way to educate the end users on how the clothes have been manufactured, okay, in the respect of our world, for a greener world or not. Specifically nowadays that we are in all over the world, we are encountering problems for the pandemic. The environment is really important. So what we have done is, thanks to a consortium made by One True ID, that is the technology partner of this consortium, and Vrad, that is a clothes manufacturer, okay, designer, stylish for fashion clothes, and other companies dealing with fashion clothes manufacturing. We engineered this solution that basically has the goal to educate the customers in the impact of the clothes as on our environment, but how? Using the a technology that allows the tracing and the certification of all the manufacturing operation. These technologies are the NFC technology that we integrate in labels associated to every single clothes, thanks to the single level item tagging idea, and certification. By certification, every phases of the manufacturing clothes process, thanks to blockchain. Okay, and finally, we found this idea very interesting on how to incentive the manufacturers and users on using this platform. Easy, by rewarding them, thanks a virtuous cycle idea that is, anytime a manufacturer uses Peace project, and anytime a user reads the tag thanks to this platform, becomes rewarded. So this is the idea behind all the projects. So you can go ahead on next slide. So I can go deeper to this technology. So, but why it is so innovative? So okay, go next. Okay, try to imagine the operations. Today, the product problems is the traceability, the counterfeiting, and the visibility of the products. Thanks to the blockchain technology, we can give full product visibility through the supply chain, as I said, following every phases, traced into the tag and NFC tag associated to the product and certified by the blockchain. And thanks to this, we can guarantee a rewarding criteria based on B2B loyalties. Okay, next. Sustainability as well. Today, the customer doesn't know who makes the clothes, product environmental impact and social impact, and the usage the customer does of the product. Again, thanks to our solution that is based on blockchain technology, we can give a clear vision on what's behind a t-shirt or every other clothes manufacturing by communicating in a certificated way, and so no possibility of modify it to the and the customer and users. And thanks to Peace, give a real impact information about the real impact on our environment. Okay, go next, please. And finally, the commercial aspect. It's very hard nowadays to have a contact with the real end users and have a demographic analysis of our customers, our clothes manufacturer customers. And so there is a high customer switching rate. Again, thanks to Peace and based on this technology, we can give manufacturer a real contact to the end users, because we provide the digital DNA associated to every item. So thanks to this, the end user can read and get information and be informed the manufacturer about if they are satisfied or not on the product and how it is made and manufactured. Next, please. So, in generally speaking, thanks to Peace technology, you can have information regarding all the supply chain processes, starting from the raw material to the end user, but not only. You can even go further to every next step that could be taken by the owner of the clothes. Whenever I take the decision on using or not, or living in a wardrobe, for example, how to do this? Thanks to this technology, we know anytime the customers decide to wear the clothes, for example, we ask him to read the tag, and the system knows that you are using and gives you a feedback on how your environmental footprint has grown or reduced on our environment. So it's very interesting, because the end user is how to say incentivized on using the clothes I bought, and not living inside the wardrobe because it's not useful for anyone, but by incentivizing using it in the same way I use it with the manufacturers, giving you a rewarding. For example, loyalty campaigns from the manufacturers and whatever. Okay, go next, please. But okay, why it's so empowering? If you are still not aware about this, you have to imagine that in this way, thanks to this technology, we can give in our hands the power, the control of our decision. I mean, next, please. I mean, try to imagine. Nowadays, we have a lot of application on our smartphone that monitor everything, monitor how we sleep, blood pressure, blood sugar, stress level, eye quality, and everything. Go ahead. The next two slides are talking about this kind of application that every day we use this, but without considering that we don't do the same, we don't control the same as we do with all of these application in our life for the clothes, for example. Go next, please. Okay, the same for our body fat, the distance we walk, the weight, okay, next, please. Try to imagine the social media for how time we spend on the phone, on the social medias. Next, please. Try to imagine if we will do the same even for the fashion field. There is not the same clearness that there is for the other topics that we show in these slides. And but if we take the same attention, we could reduce even by the 30% our environmental footprint. So go next, please. That's why we say that, as Nelson Mandela said, the education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. So we do believe that next, please, that by using this technology, you will have the power in your hands. We give you the power in your hands because we give you the possibility by reading the information written and straightly connected to the clothes on how it is manufactured and how it is used. So the people has got the power on deciding if that manufacturer, that clothes is good for you or not. This is the powerful that we believe to have implemented inside a simple smartphone application, and by introducing a rewarding technology solution. So go next, please. Okay, so that's a translation of what we can achieve. Every time you read the information on your clothes, you became recognized by the system, and the much more you use it, the much more you came green for a greener world and reward So I'm done for me. It's done. If anyone has got any question, I will be glad to do my best on answering it.
All right, thank you, Carlo, and congratulations to the team at One True ID. Over my career, I have not just worked in the tech sector, but also for nonprofits that are trying to make the world a better place. So thank you for the work you're doing to help improve the visibility of how we live our lives through technology like NFC. Let me go to the next slide. Thank you, Carlo.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. If we go to the next slide real quick. And I'll go 2 more slides out to do a quick closing. So I do want to thank everyone for their time today. You know, we covered a lot of ground. You know, we started off a couple hours ago, actually almost 3 hours ago, talking about NFC, some of the latest innovations, some of the more recent changes with the standard and our organization. We moved into talking about how the technology adoption is increasing. We of course have seen kind of the impact of the coronavirus on not only our work, but also in some ways, the adoption of the technology. We followed that on with talking about how NFC is going to be making inroads into packaging, how that's already happening. And we also talked about ways that you could get involved with not only the NFC Forum, but also with the innovations in the packaging sector. And then finally, as we've just done over the last hour, we've highlighted some of the many innovative new products over the last several years and companies that are implementing the technology to increase customer loyalty and make our worlds easier and safer. So we will be closing out this session, the open forum. I will tell you that once this session is over, if you've obviously signed up, we will be sending you an email that'll, I believe there'll be a survey. In addition to, once the slides and the videos have been uploaded, links that you can go and review all of this information. This was a public session, so all the talks and the information you've seen here can certainly be shared with your colleagues and friends around what the technology is going to be. We're going to be moving over to a cafe, so if we were in person, there'd be kind of an area that we can go to and have drinks after and just visit. We will be there for about a half hour or so. I know it's terribly late in Asia, but we'll go over there. If anyone has some questions or topics of conversation, I'll do the best I can to facilitate that. And we'll be there for the next half hour. You'll see the link there. We'll leave that on the screen here just for a few more minutes. But it's let's go to meeting.me, NFC staff /NFC Forum Networking Cafe 2. All of that has hyphens in the middle of it. So I want to thank everyone for their time today. I hope wherever you are, the weather is nice and your family is safe and that business is doing well. It has been a remarkable year, 2020. And I thank all of you for your support and efforts towards making the world safer, more human, and more contactless lifestyle. Thank you for your time today and have a good rest of your day.